have coffee?
I did have coffee. I just had 2 cups this morning.
Oh, it's caffeine in quarantine.
Oh yeah, should I go get some?
You can.
That way, or at least I can grab a cup and act like
That's okay. I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions. We're gonna have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit. What's one thing that you've learned during quarantine?
One thing that I've learned is that I appreciate life slowing down a little bit, in terms of just the hustle and bustle. Even though that can be fun as well, it is nice to slow down and really, for us, going on walks and spending time with our daughter Jovi, and just seeing her grow and really being able to have close family time that is very high quality time with my daughter, my wife, has been awesome.
I guess I should probably introduce who you are.
Oh yeah.
Just started talking. I just assume everybody knows who you are. So this is Isaac Hernandez, and we talked to his wife Christina last week, and this is the guy that swept Christina off her feet and stole her away from us. He is a pastor in Gresham. Tell me, okay, since you did sweep one of our pastors off her feet and took her.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. You took her to the dark side. What? Okay, so tell everybody how you guys met.
Okay, so we met online, actually, something both of us were dead set against, and somehow we ended up online through eHarmony.
Okay, so what was your first impression of Christina? Let's get the juice.
Oh, my first impression. Oh, well, she seemed very kind. I couldn't see her picture right away because I was on the free trial thing. So, so actually, we started talking before I could see her. And so from what she was saying in our exchanges, I found her to be very kind, very family oriented, had her priorities right as far as her life. She knew who she was, where she was going, and her calling in life, basically. And so that's kind of what pulled me in there before I could even see what she looked like.
Yes. Okay, I want to know, what was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you while you were dating Christina?
Oh, Lord. There's probably a lot of things. Embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to have to come back to that one because I can't think of a super embarrassing moment.
I remember one time you were at our house and Christina was very dramatic about something that I said to you. Mm-hmm. Not knowing, do you remember? I don't know what, we were making dinner or something and I gave you something, or you gave me something, I think it was. And okay. I said, thanks, babe. And you said, yeah, sure. Christina like stopped dead in her tracks, looking at both of us like, what the? And we're both looking at her like, what? Did you just call my fiance babe? Like, I guess so. I don't know. Yes, I did. So but from that moment on, we just to troll her would call each other babe.
Totally, it was hilarious because I call everybody babe. She calls her sister babe, the nieces and nephews babe. You call her babe, she calls you babe. Yeah. So it's just like babe this, babe that.
Yeah, I remember you saying the first time she called you babe, you thought, oh, this is amazing, right? And then you realized that she called everybody.
Yeah, then I was like,
yeah.
It's not that special. Okay, one embarrassing thing that was embarrassing more for Christina than it was for myself when we were dating. We went to go see a movie, her, Con, and I, and we're getting in line to the concessions. And one thing that, if you know about me at the time, I was working out a lot more, and I would get like Charlie horses and cramps and stuff. And so randomly, I just got hit with like a hammy cramp, and I'm like, babe, just a second, I got cramps. And the lady behind the counter started dying laughing because of the way I said it. And it's like...
Well, you yelled it.
Yeah, I yelled it.
You yelled it.
Yeah, it was really loud. So I'm like, I got cramps. And they just, all just started laughing so hard. And Christina's like, hey, that's so embarrassing. What are you going to say it that way?
That's awesome. Okay, so I found this picture on your Facebook page, and I'm just wondering if you can explain this to us. Let me just share it with you. Can you see that?
Yes, it's so awesome. So that was a gift from a very dear friend of ours named Kat. I mean, because what we share in common, and actually Tom, you're in on this too, is an affinity for flatulence humor.
Yeah.
And so we always crack up at that kind
You
of thing.
too.
Live in the 3rd grade when it comes to that kind of humor. We just crack up so hard. And so she sent me that because we're always joking that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are weird like that.
You're weird.
I don't have a cup like that. You own it too.
I still have it. Hey, I'm proud of it. You know what I mean?
Hey, I mean, yeah, everybody has their strengths. So if you're gonna master something, like, wow. By the way, I posted or put that picture up of you to pay you back a little bit for all of the chewing trolls that you've sent me over the years.
Yes, those are so awesome.
No, they're not. They're disgusting.
Those are so great. That guy chewing on a head of lettuce in the library. He's so grossed out by it. It's so loud. It's so awesome. You just cringe.
Yes, and Isaac, you know that I can't stand like mouth noises. So every now and then I get a Snapchat from Isaac of just him chewing like corn nuts or something ridiculous, and then that's it. And I have to listen to that for 5 seconds. So gross. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Okay, I'm wondering if you'll play a little game with me.
Sure.
Okay, so since we've both been leading worship forever, I have a little game, and I'm calling it, is it a worship song lyric or a love song lyric?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you have to decide, is this a worship song or is this just a love song lyric?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read a few to you. For I am yours and you are mine. Is that a worship song or is that a love song?
That's a worship song, Hillsong.
Nice. But do you know which one?
The title is I Love You, I think. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Nope.
Nope?
Oceans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, say the line again.
For I am yours and you are mine. That one?
Yeah. It's also in the other song, I Love You. I am yours and you are mine. From my heart this song will rise. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Wow, you're going old school Hillsong.
Check. Yes.
Wow, I just got schooled right there. How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean?
Not a worship song, a Bee Gees song. How deep is your...
Oh, that's a good one too.
That's
but nope, it's Calvin Harris.
Oh.
You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning.
I think that's not a worship song.
It's John Legend.
Oh,
all
yeah.
of me loves all of you. That one.
Okay.
All right.
My head in your... Yep. Okay, got it.
Just like that. Okay. The colors of the morning are inside your eyes.
That's definitely not a worship song.
It is a worship song.
Phil
Wickham, close. You're all I want. You're all I ever need.
Oh, that's a worship song.
Well, it could be any love song ever, too, but you're right. It is a worship song. Do you know who sings it? Your favorite?
Oh, Michael W. Smith.
Yeah.
Yes. You're all I want. You're all I ever needed.
I knew if I waited a second, we'd get the rest of that song. Okay. Okay. My love is alive way down in my heart.
Worship song?
It's from Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Oh. Ain't no
Yeah,
mountain high
high
enough.
enough. Right. Everywhere I go, always on my mind, in my heart, in my soul.
Right. I'm going to say secular song, not worship song.
Yeah, love song. Okay, here's the last one.
Song.
Your fragrance is intoxicating in our secret place.
That's a worship song, Daryl Evans.
Yep. Wow, good job. Your love is extravagant. That one's pretty, wow.
Yep.
Did they sing that in church, you think? Like with everybody? It seems like really intimate and personal. Let's
That's
all
true.
sing this like awkward song together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like that one worship song, Let Me Know the Kisses of Your Lips. Like, I'm just not going to sing that song in front of everybody. That's just, I feel weird about that.
Yeah,
No.
that whole sloppy wet kiss line and how he loves us, that one sometimes
yeah.
a little iffy on the
Corporate
level.
I know. I always think about all the guys, like all the men. How do they feel about singing these really sappy songs?
Yeah. I feel awkward a little bit.
Yeah. So you've been married for 3 years now. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
What has marriage taught you in the last 3 years?
Marriage has taught me the importance and value of priorities and keeping those consistent on a regular basis.
What advice would you give to all the married couples out there trying to survive now the 7th week of quarantine?
Just keep having fun together. Just try and do whatever fun things you guys can, even if it's the little things. Like we've been doing a lot of walks and be silly sometimes, just keep the atmosphere light by keeping humor in your house, and continuing to have fun, joking around. Humor just totally makes everything better when it comes to quarantine, I think.
I agree, because it's hard.
Yes.
It is. It's hard being in quarantine and everything that's going on. And so humor helps. It's true. It's good medicine.
Yep.
It helps.
Absolutely.
How do you like being a dad?
Oh, I think it's so awesome.
What's your favorite thing?
My favorite. Well, it's the connection with my daughter and specifically being able to teach her things. Like I like to show her things and kind of say what things are and how to do things. And it's one of the most rewarding parts is when she's picking up on it. So I used to act like I was falling asleep when she was sitting on our bed with us. I just lay down and I would start to snore with my eyes closed. And she started doing it 2 days ago when we were on a walk in her stroller. She closed her eyes like this. She goes,
oh,
she copied it.
That's
and
so cute.
Like, oh, it's so great. And so for me as a dad, it's that teaching connection and being able to equip her for life and to show her things that are new so that she can enjoy her life. That's best.
What has the Lord been showing you during this quarantine season?
That's a good question. The Lord has been just showing me how he is sort of getting us all out of our molds and mindsets into being very flexible and able to move quickly and being adaptable to situations as a church, God's people, and to be able to at the same time still maintain our priorities for relationships with one another and also reaching people with the message of Jesus and the gospel. And so with that, he's been showing me that through what's been going on is he's really trying to connect people to the church in ways they otherwise would not.
Right.
So getting online for a lot of us churches who didn't have as big an online presence, but now have had to, it's giving people a window to be more comfortable with church when they come into a meeting or they come to hear a sermon or experience worship. Now they have an idea of what it's like.
Exactly.
And they're also a little bit more acquainted with our stories for me as a pastor who's preaching, they get to hear some things about my life. that they otherwise would not, which has the potential to make them feel much more comfortable when they
Right.
actually come to church at their point.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what else do you think the Lord's trying to do in the church through this quarantine? How else is he using this for good?
I think he's also showing us that to remember how valuable it is to be able to connect with one another in person.
Yeah.
At the same time as he's showing us the value of the online connection and presence, he's also showing us how awesome it is just to be able to get together.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of us are just chomping at the bit to be able to get back into one room together and not have to be 6 feet away from each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have seen the meme online of Chris Farley's entrance into the
Yeah.
Late Show with David Letterman, freaking out and saying, "This is every pastor when we get out of quarantine."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's going to be me, man, because
Me
it's going to
too.
be so nice to see each other, to actually be able to give people hugs and, look them in the eye
Yeah.
physically rather than through a screen and all that kind of thing. So I think he's showing us to remember how awesome it is also to have that freedom to do it, because in a lot of countries they can't the way
Yeah.
we can in America. And so it makes me think, just, man, don't take for granted how awesome it is to be able to gather together like the Bible encourages us to.
Right.
For granted the gathering together of yourselves in the book of Hebrews. And it's so powerful when we do get together. So I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I think that there are people who maybe get confused about God during things like this, and when bad things happen.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I love by A.W. Tozer where he says, "What comes into our mind when we think about God is the most important thing about us."
Mm.
So I love that quote because
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. Because what we think about God defines who we are.
Yeah.
It defines our identity. So, okay, I don't even know how to ask this question, but how do you explain, I guess, the goodness of God in light of the bad that's happening around us right now?
One thing he knows, and he bears with us in all things as far as his humanity, because Jesus came to, God sent his son in the flesh, Jesus, who experienced life just like we did. He experienced the sorrow, the loss, the pain. He experienced seeing people ill and ministering to them. And what the bad things that you see in the world, which if you're always going to focus on the bad, you're always going to be able to find something. If that's your mindset, then I think, especially if you are somebody who knows Jesus, you're in relationship with Jesus, then you need to know that the Bible says to think on the good things, the praiseworthy things. That's where the majority of our thoughts should be. But when it comes to people just looking at our perspective as Christians in general, maybe they don't know Jesus. It's that everything we see that has been a problem, that is something that we think is bad, is an opportunity for the goodness of God to express itself. In fact, God is always looking to express his goodness in the times that we go through negative things or sickness or whatever. So he sees this happening. What we have an opportunity to see is Jesus working through people in all different areas of our life, especially in this time of crisis, through the hands of nurses, through the hands of doctors, through the hands of compassionate people. Anytime there's darkness, what happens when it gets too dark? We turn on the light.
Mm-hmm.
And so the light comes on through all of Jesus's people in the bad times, in the challenging times, in the down times. And what you start to see is God's beauty through humanity and people being reached out to. And there was an interesting video online by a guy from Ireland, and he said, and it's gone viral, I think, with a lot of people. He talks about a cleaner, somebody who was a cleaner that came in, and he had COVID-19 and came into his area to clean up the room where he was at, and he was in full quarantine at the hospital. But he encouraged him, the cleaner did, the maintenance person encouraged him as he was sick to hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
God for him, he's going to get better, and it's not going to be bad. He prayed for him, and it just revolutionized his life. And quickly after that point, he was started to turn for the better, and then he prayed specifically for a certain thing. I think it was like fish flavored chips or shrimp flavored crisps, something like that, and a certain kind of soda. and he prayed that somebody would bring it to him, and that person came in later on with the exact thing he prayed for.
Wow.
To the little shrimp flavored chips, crisps, and the soda that he liked. And it blessed his heart so much. He knew God was listening to him. So in the middle of the darkness, you see God start to turn on the light.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to look at, the opportunity of any kind of bad, any kind of negative, is that God's coming to change the end of the story. He wants to give you a different ending and an outcome. He wants you to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that there is always hope, and you can always trust him through it, because he went through the darkest places for us. Then anytime we face a dark place, we can trust him to go with us through them.
Amen. If it's not good yet, hang in there, because it's gonna be. The best is always yet to come. If it's not beautiful yet, it's going to be, because that's who God is. He writes a different story for us than the enemy tries to write, and he writes a beautiful story, and he's the author and the finisher of our faith. And so you're right. So I think that's horrible theology, for one, to say that God causes or allows evil or sin or sickness to take place. That would be like if you were to hurt Jovi so that then you could show her mercy. There'd be something wrong with you if you were like that as a father. But people often embrace like hellish situations in their lives because of the thought that God intends it for good.
Because the problem with that word allowance, or he allowed something, it speaks to his motive. Yeah. Like when you think of allowance, it's almost like he wills it. So some people will take the term allowance and say it's actually God's desire to bring it in, or it's his, like he's real sadistic, you know, and wants to see you suffer. And that's just not the case. He does not. It would be actually the opposite. When he's trying to be your healer and your comforter, and my daughter's banging on the door behind me. When Jesus is trying to be your healer and your comforter, it doesn't make sense that he would try to make you sick.
Yeah.
He just recognized that in this world, like he told us, we would have trouble, but fear not, he has overcome the world. So he is definitely not actively allowing with the desire to harm us so that he can show good. That's totally insanity, because it's working against yourself. It's not logically consistent. So when you understand Jesus and you understand good theology, there's always a logical consistency in it.
Yeah, so it's confusing sometimes, I think. Why would God let a pandemic happen?
Right.
That's a big question right now.
Sure.
Why would he let good people die?
Yeah.
Those are hard questions.
And if you say, is he letting it happen, or is he actively working to remedy the situation as it arises? So there's two different perspectives on it that you can take. Oh, he's just letting it happen.
Yep.
No, he's actually has an answer, and he's working to remedy the situation and give as much wisdom, even I think through our leaders, civic leaders, and our government leaders, that as we're praying for them, God is releasing wisdom for them to help them work in such a way that it protects life, which was one of the things that really hit me, is that the government, because a lot of people think, the government's against life and they're out to just destroy it, not protect it, and people get on all sorts of different bunny trails with conspiracies and things like that. But when you see them trying to protect life, I mean, that's a good thing, no matter what, And
we do need to pray for them, because they have a lot of decisions that they have to make right now that are life or death situations, really. And that's hard. And unless you've walked in their shoes, we have no idea what that is like and what that pressure is like. So we do need to pray. How do you encourage us to feed our faith and starve our fears?
So definitely, to feed your faith is to be in the Word of God, to read, actually be reading Scripture and looking at the stories where God always came through, where no matter what the situation was, he always had an answer. And the bigger picture is often not trying to focus on the problem or the situation, but that God wanted, he not only wants to remedy it, but he wants us to learn how to trust him through it. Again, not that he's trying to put the situation on us. He just knows that in this world, we're going to face those situations just like Jesus did. And he wants us to trust him through it. And so I think feeding your faith through the word, the Bible also says you pray in the spirit, you feed your faith. That's another way to do it. But to be in prayer, be praying also builds your faith, because as you're praying, then you have something where once you see the result, you can say, oh, I was praying that through. I was a part of that, and it's not just that things happen. It's not just happenstance that you pray and there's results. No, the Bible says that the prayer of a righteous avails much. It's effective. It changes things. And so that's another byproduct of this quarantine is a lot of people are praying a lot more now in this situation than ever. And it's changing the atmosphere, not just to remedy our situation, but to open up the heavens when we get out of this quarantine and see people come to Jesus like never before, to experience him and encounter God as the good God and friend and Father, and the God who is love more than any time ever in their life.
That's so good. Okay, buddy, I know you got to go pretty soon, but if you could give one word of encouragement to City Gate, what would you leave with us, Pastor?
The biggest word of encouragement I would say is to realize that even in this time of quarantine, that your presence in terms of connection, even in forms like we're using right now, in terms of Zoom, a phone call, a text, email, just staying close knit as a church community is extremely important. Put a personal touch on your connection in this time. And stay close knit as a body. Remember to support. The work continues, even though you're online now in this season. The work of the church continues. Continue to support it with your presence, your connection, making yourself available to things, that the creative ways that the church is trying to connect both with the members of the church and people outside the church. Make yourself available to be involved with that. Support your pastors in prayer, and continue to financially support the church, because we got to get through this time, and just being understanding of that is very important. And so just don't forget that connection, to maintain it, to keep it, guard it. The same thing I was saying in terms of marriage, my priorities I learned. Keep that priority that you learned about the importance of your church family present all the time in your mind.
That's so good, Isaac. Thank you so much for joining me on this call today. I hope that you know how proud I am of you and Christina and Chosen. And I think that you guys are doing amazing. And thank you for always being a good listening ear and advisor for us at Citygate, and just a good friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for the same, Tom.
Yeah, you bet, man. I love you.
Love you too.
I love you, babe.
Let's see what Christina says.
I'm just going to hate that. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good. Are you tired?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go have lunch. Say bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.